All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Hopefully, we can smooth those rough roads and things get a little better. Right. So I'm not perfect, but it look. Hopefully, I'm right. It looks like a weak infection as far as standing up to that particular antibiotic. Right. I think because they use that particular antibiotic that I was using all the time for it's like a standard. Right. I think we got some resistance creeping up. Right. So this other one is he seemed to think that this would work no problem. He said I don't even need to give you a couple extra days worth. Right. I'll definitely if I feel like it wasn't working, I'd get online like about day 8 or 9 and say hey to some doctor. Right. So not to waste the whole thing, just maybe take a couple more days. Right. Usually, if it's subsiding within a couple days, it should work fine. So I'm sleeping deeper. There's no doubt. For a while, I wasn't getting any deep sleep, and that's where a lot of people sleep, but they don't realize if they don't deep sleep that's where the problem is. Right? No, I'm like out. Not really taking anything but my magnesium glycinate. Hopefully, I get it coming around better today than I did yesterday. The legs kind of settled down yesterday, and I started feeling good. So maybe there's hope. I don't know. They're able to deliver the other items today. That's okay. I paid for expedited shipping. This is the outside date that it would arrive, so that's okay. But I had to upgrade to do it, which wasn't the deal with the people that shipped it. I used these shoes when I was in Oklahoma, and they seemed to work well. And somebody showed that they cup the heel real well, so and stabilize it on a video. So I'm hoping that it's real because he's a buy a support shoe. But I know I've purchased support shoes before, and they don't meet what he says. Right. This one had an external wrap around the outside of the heel area, so I'm hoping that stabilizes it. Maybe that's why they were so well. Right. I mean, I wasn't completely well, but they were slightly well. Right. Better than what I've been wearing. And they were like real flat, so felt like I had a flat walk with them. I mean, they're not long-term shoes; they're Avias, and the material breaks down. But at least I got something until I can figure out what to do. Right? I may be able to order some orthotic shoes or something, which is really what I preferred. I didn't mind spending more money if I could get something that actually worked. I mean, this is really a big deal. So the thing on the border is great because what we're trying to do, we have to try to starve the cartels a bit. Because I mean, look, all that money he has to buy all that stuff, and I've been saying that for years. And actually, to bribe people, they have a network where they bribe people. Right. Thank you. So when we get to 10,000 troops on the border, we need to start. Again, I always speak about relationships. So the more connected we are, and again, you have to weigh how much you're going to tell them and all that on operations. But again, coordination is very important, and I'm sure you do it now. But what I'm thinking with that number on the border, and maybe even more, coming from our side and other sides, whatever it is, well, we're a bread and butter community for a cartel, right? So if we can diminish the bread and butter community's income, we might be able to do something. Now, of course, they're shipping globally, right? Which requires navy and airports and stuff to really focus. Also, it's money. Believe me, there's people around here in law enforcement take money and look the other way. I'm sure of it. Thank you, Larry. what they do is they just say, "Oh no, just it's about him." We just look the way around. We look the other way around him. That's our scam, right? So the facility I described, obviously, it takes time to put something like that together, right? But what the vision is to have these placed, I don't know what distance apart. Obviously, the physical ability to go to that place is limited, but okay, here's a scenario. Like, what do you mean they know it's there and they come? Well, possibly somebody on a border can't communicate with us, or we can't communicate with them. We know this place exists. There's somehow breakdown. This is what we don't make sure doesn't happen. Or somehow there's a breakdown in communication. We can't seem to get the word somewhere. So we could, at the worst case scenario, again, it might never come to this, but we could take one of our people, or they could take one of their people and call them that happens to be near one of those centers, right, the joint security area, right, and then just walk in and then pass the message, and then they could get it to their people. But then, of course, we have phones and we have radios, and right. What we don't want is communications to fail, ever. Right? And then also, it's a joint. Again, it's not North Korea and well, it could be someday North Korea and South Korea could be that way, but right, it's not that scenario. I mean, we're going to be operating for the same cause. Elon's here. I'm stuttering. Somehow Elon's here. Thank you, sir. As far as Elon goes, I'll reiterate that. Again, Satan's stance created a rift between Elon and some security people. Right? You don't have to use those security people. You can even use outside contractors, but go to somebody who has experience. And again, if I said that, it'd look a lot better. It goes, if you put those people in yesterday before the news article, I said, well, he's got, these guys are like 40, 50 years old. They've been in the government a long time, and now they're private contractors or whatever it is. And what they do is they just ensure the security. Again, I'm not telling you have to meet any requirement. You decide what that is. But again, it looks better. Thank you, Larry. I don't know if it's actually any more secure or not. I can't tell you that because I'm not looking at your operation. Again, politics and political statements will say things that aren't true. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that it's any more secure with those people. But now it's in the news that you have some teenager on there, and who knows what they do. I mean, Elon doesn't even know what they do, right? They might say these people use narcotics on a regular basis. I don't know. You don't know, right? So at least you have a security person. Well, we have these two security people watching them, and they. I mean, maybe you don't want them to watch. I don't know. Maybe you are a crook. I don't know. Again, we don't know. You're creating gray area that you can't prove in court. Thank you, Larry. But you have two experts that were around you. They can go into court and judge goes, okay, these are the experts, and they're not going to certify your people as experts, right? So you got to get your certified experts how the court works. I mean, does he know how the court works? Does he have lawyers that can explain this to him? Thank you, Larry. Well, now the experts are complaining about you. See, the other side can bring experts in and say that you're not within standard, and they'll be certified as experts. Now, you'll call them crooks, but you ain't got no evidence. And to tell you the truth, I don't necessarily approve or disapprove. I don't know about Miley's operation with that riot and how it all unfolded. But I'll tell you right now, Israel and CIA, I've been speaking about it for I don't know how many years, engage in those type of activities all the time. Right. What you just outlined was they're online. They're complaining that Miley, they started race riots in Africa, and there were they came in and paid some people money so they can protest on the clock. It's like, who do you, that's spy work. So again, if you're continually doing that, the people that back you might actually be Russia and China. It may be because he goes in and tears down our security. I mean, I'm just telling you to do something that makes governmental sense. Again, you can't tear down the nation and then say you're building it up and by cutting money. Again, the idea of that sovereign fund sounds great. And again, it's one of my ideas also, because I come in from another angle and say, if you want healthcare, you got to build it up so it pays for itself. You got to use a known business model and not only budget it, you need to, finance it with some sort of system, right? Like the post office was once upon a time, right? Where it actually worked and made a lot of money. I think they're getting better at it, but it's still having issues. Thank you, Larry. We greaser. So again, there's something called an expert that the court recognizes. If you have an expert, if you have a couple security experts in your vicinity, they're recognized. Right. A couple of kids, and for all I know, they just, I mean, think about it. When were these kids born? Right. How much experience do they have in anything? Or maybe they're the best hacker you met from some chat room. I don't know. Right. They told you were wonderful and you felt like you wanted to use them because they made you feel special. Right. Right. Well, the court, it's a setup, man. I'm telling you, it's a setup. Because it should already be in the courts. And it's not. It's set up. Right. There's enough right now to stop him. But they don't want to stop him. They want to completely crush him. Correct. Again, I looked at some statute of limitations on some of the things that you all could be charged with, and it does go past Trump's presidency. So again, you're developing the tit for tat. No, you're all doing the same thing that Biden did to you, and Biden did it because it's the same thing you did to Biden, and then you did it because it's the same thing Biden did to you, or similar at least. So they're not going to stop. It doesn't look like you're going to make it past 2 years with full power. I mean, I'm just letting you know. Some teenager has access to our DEA database of agents. I mean, what are his feelings on narcotics? Does he think they should be freely distributed, including psychedelic drugs? Do you think everybody should just walk down the street stoned on shrooms? I don't know. You don't know. Bradley Manning is a case in point. Now, of course, he did do damage, but we've changed I'm sure we changed the system since then because I gave him some ideas. Well, I have a right to speak because I gave him security ideas before Snowden. So I have a right to speak, more so than any of you. You just have money and devil power. Right. I'm the real deal. So again, I'm kind of a security hit. Right. Thank you, Larry. I've spoken to the world enough and had them change security enough for me to be qualified as an expert in at least real life. Right. So again, I never told you how to use any USAID employee, but what you need to do is have gone to the private sector when they started complaining about that. And you got money. Within an hour, I guarantee you could have guys on airplanes flying or gals on airplanes flying there, or maybe even have somebody based in DC, and they just sitting at home waiting for the next contract, right? And then when the judge asked what you did to secure that, I said, well, I brought these two people in. It's that simple. Well, don't expect me to speak any different than I would speak to Trump or some soldier. Don't expect some different treatment just because you're Elon the Wonderful, because all your little team tells you you're Elon the Wonderful. Right. You're in a fantasy, Elon. You're manic. And you slow down. Thank you, Larry. Oh my God. Thanks, Larry. Actually, God just said, well, keep saying that. Maybe they'll say you're manic. And when that'll get you to corticosteroid because everybody gets a little manic on corticosteroids. See, that's how the world actually works. But it doesn't work at that. I mean, it's so easy to fix all this. Right? I'm glad they got rid of those tariffs. It was tearing everybody up, right? And tear everything up. I don't know if the sovereign fund's going to work. Because you don't again, the economy is different. The sovereign fund would have worked last time. But then when COVID hit, it would probably destroyed it. Right. Well, I'm not sure if the tariffs forced a negotiation. I mean, Scheinbein, I guess whatever her name is, just sitting there, I'm ready to talk. Now, I may have forced it with Canada. Right. But again, it looks better for her to a certain degree. She fought us, and right. So she didn't roll over, right? But again, we need to get this cartel influence out of Mexico so everything can go normal and we get people into normal jobs and all these type of things. Right. I'm happy for them that we have 10,000 people. They're going to cut off the cartel income a bit. Right. But again, we have Americans that are selling out. We need to find that just because they're a cop protected by the deep state or they say Trump, 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 MAGA doesn't mean no investigation. Right? We don't have to charge people. This is where I go. You don't have to charge people as much as they do. And again, I may have changed it over the years because I've been telling you, but at least you know what's going on. Right? Don't let people just be out there uninvestigatable. That's what creates the deep state. Right? Well, again, the courts could even order Trump away from the executive branch. Right. Okay, here's if they get sued, again, all this stuff is suable. It may not be some of it might not be prosecutable, but it's suable. Right. Well, because it's like if you walk into a judge's, a courtroom and you say, well, all this information is just out there. It's our names are the judge may say, I don't the judges could be in there. I don't know. Right. I know their staff is probably in there. So again, you're going to walk into a courtroom and try to argue something, and the judge is going to look at you like you got to be crazy to argue that in here. See? But if you say, hey, we realized there was some sort of, thing going on, and, those security people we couldn't use, and that was our problem because they were in the way, so we hired these security people. No, just okay. There's things that Trump can do, and the court said he can do it, but there's still a standard. Right? Just like here, you can't even see it. It's already been proven that Trump is not as powerful as they told you he was. Right? I think you believe he can commit crimes and it's okay. Right? It's not. There's a whole litmus test to it. Now, again, he can't be maybe prosecuted for something, but you can. He can pardon you, but the court can say no go. What you're doing, because at a certain point, there are constitutional processes, constitutional mechanisms, and it may not only be check and balance, separation of powers, that you're then thwarting. You're going to commit crimes all day, and your people, or at least your people, are going to commit crimes all day, and you're just going to pardon, which means. Well, I don't think a preemptive pardon is going to go because of that either. Right? But it's like the next step past a preemptive pardon. The person commits the crime, then you pardon them, and they committed the crime. That the plan was you would pardon them. Right? Well, because before, when that happened, it wasn't wholesale. Right? It wasn't like a preemptory pardon or planning to commit a crime and you'll be pardoned. They committed a crime and it screwed up, and then the president pardoned them, right? Post conviction or something like that. Again, you don't even want to convict, an investigation and a trial or whatever it becomes. But again, this is called CYA, and the government is called CYA. Cover your ass. I don't think Emil knows about CYA. Right. I mean, I'm a different life. I mean, they commit crimes against me all day, and people pay millions of dollars for it. But that's not government wide. Even though I said it exists, it's not government wide. Right? People squirrel away notes and files and all sorts of stuff. Like right now, there's information about me everywhere in files and wiretaps. They just laugh because I mean, they used to laugh. Now they're just like, this is insane, because they figured one day they'd get caught because they just were complaints, all sorts of things were in files, right? They just never acted on it, and they covered it up. Although some people were fired somewhere along the way, I understand. Right. Well, if you don't CYA, even if you succeed, you have to go through like a Mueller thing, right? Even though it might be an independent counsel, I mean, that might be a psychic thing. Somehow an independent counsel gets appointed. I don't know. We have a special counsel. Right. No, what you're saying isn't a true statement. It's just like the statement about the trans people. It's kind of a MAGA statement, maybe, but it's not a factual statement based upon how the court assesses something like that. So it's kind of more of an opinion. How they lack certain character traits, and I know for a fact they can bring trans people in that probably obviously have a higher character than a lot of the people we see running around MAGA in the government, right? So I know they could bring trans people in and show you the most strack military person with not, dot I cross T. You know how some gay people are, right? They're anal about everything, oopsie. Right. It just is. I mean, there are some, it's not everybody's gay. Obviously, they run the gamut, but some gay people just have that ability to zero in and make everything perfect, right? That's just a personality trait, I guess. Everybody, I could say the same thing about people that are blacksmiths. The blacksmiths have some capability of a personality or a character. So again, it's not anything about just about gay people. It's about people in general, right? Again, I don't know if it's true, but years ago, I could say it was true, because I mean, gay increased in size, so a lot more people are gay, so it may have dissipated or been watered down, right? Right. But some people that were gay, they just had that ability. Yeah, Mr. Gunnell looks pretty strack, right? You look at how he carries himself; his haircuts are perfect, right? So again, that may be his claim to fame. Thank you, Larry. Well, you're in a fantasy, and somebody put you there, probably spies. So if you win, you're so skewed that you're going to make mistakes, right? Thank you, Larry. Now, Democrats aren't as powerful as they say, at least for now. When they're out there screaming and banging their fists on whatever, the die or the table, right? But at some point they'll come back into power. It's people are people, and they're going to be angry, right? Well, because you're not God, you can't fix everything. Because really, that's what you ran on, that you were God and you could fix it, whatever it was. You probably don't even remember all the promises. Trump's going to fix it. Like somebody said, like I remember in an interview, it was on CNN, and I'm not blaming you necessarily, because somebody in MAGA outside of you may have told them this, right? But apparently they told somebody that they would get better medical insurance. This is somebody without, real money, right? You'd have better you're going to take care of the disability, and,
I don't see that. Right. So that's one person that's going to go, wait a minute. I mean, first administration, I wasn't even protected like an average person. Now, again, you were encumbered. I tried to get you to be more bold. I said, you just go visit Putin. There's no reason not start peace talks because they're telling you that there's some Russian connection. Right. So again, if you had visited Putin in that first administration, and I blame them for making you shy about it, right? There may not have been the Ukraine, like as far as the war, right? I said and I don't know if it got to the top or not, but I said on several occasions, don't let them stop you from meeting with Putin. Bring him here to the United States. It's an illusion in your mind that you can't tell Putin today to fly here next week. It's an illusion. Or ask him to, at least. I'm not going to try. Right. But Putin's trying to play that game like he plays every so often with Trump, and a couple other people probably. I think they try to do it to me sometimes, like secretly online. Right. See what happens if they kiss my ass. The KGB thing. It's ego. Manipulate people via ego. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, you're sure. Well, the best way to manipulate Trump is to make peace. So if Vladimir Putin and Ukraine were to get to a peace deal, you've done all you. That's the maximum, ability to bring yourself into the good graces of Donald Trump as far as those two people, right? Or two nations, should I say? So again, it's not really a selfish type of thing per se. I mean, he's just bring yourselves to where you should have been even before it started, and then Donald Trump will be happy. All right. So you can't leave those FBI agents out there. You can't leave those DOJ people out there. Each one has a case-by-case scenario about their life, and that's what Driggs was getting at. I think we usually do an investigation, and you'll have a hearing, and right. Thank you, Larry. Making sure. Or Driz. It's not Driggs. Driz. Is Driggs someone else? Thank you. Well, he's trying to hint that there's a way to do. He can't make. I can make public statements. He can't. He can only make so many public statements. Right. Thank you. Well, there's usually a process we use, and you actually fired somebody that used the process. This is that. See how that's going to play out in court? Well, the person that sat on the hearing of the officer or the FBI agent that was at January 6th was fired, but she actually went through the process. Now, I can't tell you that it's an honest process. And that was what the investigation, like if you did an investigation of that, maybe you could have found something. Maybe not. Well, it's just when you look at the judge is going to look at the FBI's job and say that's within reason. Like, if you get one MAGA judge, that's fine, but it could end up in the Supreme Court. You don't have all MAGA judges. They'll say, okay, this is again, it's not hard to fire an FBI agent. Really, not at all. I mean, people get fired for really stupid shit. As far as January 6th is concerned, they feel that was putting himself in that position, and they don't allow that. Right? Like me, you don't see me go to places like that. I even know a guy that had his life soiled by the deep state and destroyed. Right? I don't even go to those places. I think that they were attempting to lure me into that or somewhere like that. Because it's probably something that lasts from the academy or something. You just don't put yourselves in those places, right? Because of that not the capability, the I guess propensity to erode into something like that, right? Well, if you go back, here's how you do it. You go back to the history. Again, the thing I told you all, it was perfect advice. Stay away from the 3%ers. I didn't call it the 3%ers, but I said stay away from the street gangs. I tell you, it's not happening the way they're explaining it. There is no prayer meaning focus. They're just street gangs and they're battling. You need to stay away from it. If you stayed away from it, there'd be no January 6th. And they're probably, who knows what else, because it was like a year and a half or 2 years in the making. Right. Well, because you had to stay away from them so you wouldn't go down and all. COVID may not have happened. So again, when the world goes down below a certain level, and there's a bunch of things that are part of that. It's personal action. It's somebody cursing you down or cursing this person down. Right. COVID exists. Right. So again, as far as me, you just lose the hand of God. Right. And again, God will do that independently. So again, God has me do this, and I don't know why, but again, it's something I have to do. Right. I have no will in myself. I've already willed my will away. Not willed it, but I've made parameters that I don't project a will. Done that years ago. It's because it's against scriptural, against the scriptures to have your own will. That's why one thing I had wrong. One of the things, again, it's a larger study. The use of the willpower is a larger study because you can say I will something and you can't will it if you have a certain psychology, right? You believe a certain way, right? But again, that's not everybody. A lot of people use their will, even Christians, outside of God's will. So to get back to that center, I don't think I'll do that on the next one. We'll stay